Yo. Look at Lake Tahoe. Look at San Francisco. For those of you watching in this region, we are so lucky to have this scenery. Honestly, look at that. Ooh. So fresh. But with that said, I'm just looking at the live chat here. There are people from around the world once again. Oscar tuning in from South Korea. You don't know how much I really appreciate that. By the way, you survived the heavy rain and floods. I've not been paying enough attention to that, apparently, but I hope all is well. It's a crazy world out there, and it's getting crazier. I'm going to start the live stream. We can do some Q&A. I appreciate everybody checking in on the roll call. I saw somebody who said they were flying over San Jose right now. I mean, I believe the technology. I was on an airplane last month just texting, and which is not new by any means, but I'm just thinking it catches you in the moment. Like, I'm texting somebody from an airplane right now, and they would have no other clue that you're on a plane unless you actually told them. So it is that seamless. All right, let's do a little roll call here. Ian checking in from Portland. Appreciate that. JZ34, Columbus, riding the bus. Charles from Monroe, Louisiana. Appreciate that, Charles. Michael's in Henderson. Casey, what's up, buddy? I know where you're at. You're in the 925. Powell, Utah. I'll have to look that one up on the map. Oh, wait, no. Lauren Elizabeth Powell is from Utah. It showed up differently here on my screen. My bad. Eastside San Jose. Oh, Vince is working on radio-controlled trucks. All right, or is it remote-controlled? Virginia's in West Sac. Marty's in, I know that's Alberta, Wild Rose Country. So here's Lance, flying over San Jose. You're going to have to explain that one to me, Lance. Dance Freak is in San Jose. Ooh, H-Town? Houston? Or another H that I don't know of. Michael's just like, let's talk Sharks. We will. Here's Oscar tuning in from South Korea. And then here's Lance like, dang, South Korea? You like the A's or Sharks? Why else would you be here? Colby's in Los Angeles. Yeah, you heard my live studio audience there, did you? Let me make sure I'm all set up to do that again. Nope, see, I wasn't. I'm glad I checked. Let me, I'll just hit you with it right now. You want some sound effects? You said no? Well, you're gonna get some sound effects. I got more where that came from. I got too many buttons. Like, honestly, yeah, I'm overwhelmed with Stream Deck buttons here. Let me show you. Like, I've got two Stream Decks. Here's one of them. And then here's the small one. But the big one, I've got page after page after... I mean, you can't see this, but page after page. It's too many things. I probably got to simplify this a little bit. Help me help myself. All right, let's see what other topics we got here. Hockey talk, please. It's almost like you know the season's right around the corner. Yeah, that's true. If you were waiting, you've already liked and subscribed. I do that for good practice, good measure, you know. Boy, the bass in my headphones is kicking on this song. What is good, Casey? You tell me. Bordalo's looking good at the World Juniors. Been watching that a little bit, keeping an eye on that. It's so weird, right? That it's this time of year, this time around for obvious reasons. Oh, Joseph. Can you get some love for mentioning that? Of course. I lived it, and the fact that you remembered it is awesome. Good old Channel 36. I don't know that I've watched Channel 36. I not a diss, just it's a reality. Maybe even since back in the day. It was last on Channel 36 in 2007. Oh, man. What is it, 2023 almost? Phone lines? We could probably do that. Alden, aloha, buddy. Good to see you here. Colby, you've zoomed into class from an airplane? Okay, that's pretty good, but how about the background? Was it pretty obvious that, or did you do the full blur? How did the connection hold? I'm curious. That's an interesting one for me. You're close to landing, so you were watching, like you're probably in the plane right now. You're deboarding the plane. People are like, put the phone down, buddy. Like, just get out of here, right? And you're watching this right now? I appreciate that, Lance. You're the man, Lance. Ooh. Just hit a drop right there. What's my hot take for the 2022-23 NHL season? Right now, it's those reverse retro version 2 throwbacks. I don't know. What's Calgary gonna be? Holy smokes. They got a splash of cold water up there with a couple just key departures. It was kind of hard to believe, to be honest. So I don't know. I honestly don't have one yet. I need training camp to happen. Like, we know who the teams are, we know the names and rosters, but we know nothing about how things will come together yet. A little too early for that one for me. Run PMC, Santa Clara. The Oil are going to win it for Ben in 23. Yeah, Ben was the young man who just recently passed, was kind of a rallying point for the team, and that was really sad. It was really, really sad. And, it makes you think about all the other young kids of a similar situation and age that you don't know about, And Ben was highly promoted and got to hang out with Connor McDavid and all that stuff. Like, he was part of that Edmonton Oiler family. You could see that. But yeah, it's just a reminder that Ben's not the only one going through that out there, and maybe we could all find our own Ben. You hate to ever even see it happen, but what can we all do, like the Oilers did for Ben and his family? So yeah, it was really sad, to be honest with you. Chris wondering, do I have a top 5 for ballparks? Are you mentioning that because there is a top 5 video on this YouTube channel of what I think are the best ballparks I've been to? I haven't been to all of them. I've been to most, I think. A lot, if not most. So, you like the soundboard, Vince. Always good for a laugh. Wait, you don't want to take my soundboard seriously? You don't... Nobody takes the soundboard seriously. When will Danny Heatley start doing public interviews about his career? Everyone wants it. What? That's my Heater impersonation. I hope he's doing well. I haven't heard much from him, honestly. I think Scott Hannon might know Heater on a personal level, both British Columbia boys. And I think as of a while back, Hanner said he had talked to him or heard from him. I don't know much, so I just hope he's doing well. But you're right, he has really disappeared from the map. Joseph, I'm actually tonight, nothing. I did have some tasty beverages earlier today, so you can't, at least at my age, you can't do that in the morning and at night. Somebody asked me on Twitter. Oh, by the way, I should share this. Maybe I'll just pull it up here on the screen. But I did something today for the very first time. And instead of telling you, I'll just show you how I tweeted it. Show you some responses too. You might find this entertaining. Find the tweet, make it nice and big. Okay, you ready for this? Had my first White Claw today. It's true. A lot of people like that, apparently. Let me see here. Probably to make this smaller. 3 years ago, some visiting kids Brought cases of that stuff into our barbecues, and we tried it. Not since. The kids grew out of it. Hope you mean like 21-year-old kids, right? Nick loves to hear it. You'd enjoy a video. My thoughts on the first White Claw. At a pool party? No. It's a backyard party, but I will say, like, what I've realized about White Claw is that there's a time and a place for it. It's not something to be paired with a hamburger or something off the barbecue or a nice bowl of pasta. It's not, no, it is not paired with that. It is not meant to go with that. But if it's before noon and it's hot and you're looking for like the pop of a LaCroix, but with booze, look, I've only had now 2 in my life. Oh, new development. Yeah, I had a second one too. So I think I had pineapple as the first, strawberry is the second. Are those the right flavors? Hopefully you all know. White Claw tastes like you're drinking TV static while someone screams the name of a fruit from another room. It's like drinking without drinking. See, that's, yeah. It's low-key drinking. Am I saying that right? Probably not. Pretty good move on a hot day, which it was. The next time you're in Canada, try one where they are vodka-based, not malt-based. Okay, that's getting pretty technical. Brody will now be spelled Bro-D henceforth. No wonder why you're not doing A's today. Oh, congratulations. Trulies are better than Claws. I don't know anything about that, see? It's also really weird that the music just ended right there. Were there no real drinks available? So sorry for you. Thoughts and prayers. Aaron here with a nice gif. That's pretty good. Bradley's like, no laws. I hope it was delicious. Haley, it probably wasn't. If you're going to jump on the seltzer train, which I guess these are hard seltzers, I recommend High Noons. Hashtag Brody Beast. And listen, you got to trust me when I say this. Add frozen fruit. And hopefully your last. Thoughts? Nobody had to know. Here's Alden. I'm sorry. I'm saying don't tell Drew, as in Drew Remenda. So, oh, and here's a really good meme. The Beastie Boys didn't fight for your right to party, so you all could be drinking White Claw. which hits. See, that hits for me. And I also have to say this. I tie in White Claws and Trulies and all these drinks to being a millennial, which I am not. Which, by the way, a lot of millennials at this function were really enjoying the White Claws. And I was only told by my wife, like, when I went to go get the beers for this occasion, make sure you pick up some White Claws, too. Okay, I did. It wasn't even on my radar. Good thing I did. They were very popular. I like the White Claw. Again, refreshing. Not as hard as a beer, like a good, it's a good it's an entry into something. The rest of your day, whatever. Here's what I've realized. Will I ever go somewhere and order a White Claw? Probably not. Probably not going to do that. But if I'm somewhere and I open up a cooler and it's the right time of day and the situation makes sense, like food, the whole sphere of everything else, then yeah, probably going to drink a White Claw. I'm not going to let it go to waste. Not going to waste it. Now, if there's a really good beer in there that I also know that I like or I want to try, I might go to that next or first and skip it. But if there's nothing else, I'm not going to not drink it. So there you go. There's my thoughts on White Claw. This will probably be its own video. So thank you for everybody for helping me get to that. How did we even get to that? I have no clue. Oh, Joseph asked, what are we drinking tonight? Mao to Meow is watching in Oakland. I do appreciate that. Caker Girl. Yo, what's going on? When is the last time I've gone flying? I assume, Matt, you mean whereas I am piloting the aircraft. It's unfortunately been a while, and the pandemic was part of that. Before that, being a dad was part of that. just timing and responsibilities. It is 100,000% something I'm going to get back to in life. It has escaped me for a little while here because I do think there are priorities that need my attention, and they are of a timely nature, and this is the time of my life to prioritize some other things. But flying for me was a huge part of my 20s and into 30s, and it was a passion. It was my job for actually the year of 2008, flight instructing. I love it, and I've realized that as much as you all know me for this job that I do, that I also thoroughly enjoy, this has been my production, and sports have been my passions for way longer than flying. It's just, that is what it is. If I did it all over again, would I have gotten into aviation as a career? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I can't say yes. I can't say no. But it's definitely something that captivated me. It must have been at the end of my college years that I got into it, went and did all my training. That took a couple years to go from private to instrument to commercial pilot. And then in 2007, actually beginning of 2008, became a flight instructor, and then an instrument flight instructor before 2009. So it's something that it's my other passion that not too many people know about. It's kind of my relief and release in life when I need to take my brain somewhere else that I know it's just going to make me happy. If I get stressed out, burnt out, whatever, I'll put on an aviation podcast or some content or, some material. It is my go-to. Some people want to paint or play the guitar or whatever their release is. And I know a lot of you have those things. Flying and aviation is my thing. The hard part is that when you don't own an airplane or necessarily have one that's readily available all the time, you can't, be like, I play guitar, but I don't own a guitar. So maybe at some point that'll be a thing in my life. I've decided that, that's a bucket list thing for me. And it takes, probably going into a partnership with a lot of people, and that's how you get to airplane ownership, and then you could fly whenever you want. Take your friends, family, all that stuff, and make YouTube videos. I'm sure I'll probably be doing that. But yeah, I want and need to get back into it in the next decade here. I really do, because I know it's something I love and enjoy. Kilted Corgi, what do you figure curfew is at this year's World Juniors? Asking for a friend. Well, I'll tell you something here. The tournament being late summer, it's not even early fall. I can't even say that yet. The tournament here being late summer, far different than what a curfew would be if this tournament were normally held in the dead of winter, like around Christmas and New Year's, because you really don't want to go outside during those months at night. You really don't. And the fact that in those months, it's pretty much dark in places like Edmonton. Yeah, it's dark at like 4 p.m., if not earlier. So there's nothing you really want to do outside late at night. Now, August 13th in Edmonton, nice enough. You want to hang out? Yeah, I bet you you're looking at a 9 o'clock curfew, if I had to guess. If you're not playing tonight, you're sleeping tonight, or you're in the hotel, or you're on the premises tonight by 9 p.m. I feel like I'm the coach talking to him. I don't care if you guys are in each other's rooms or if you're in our, each team probably has a ballroom where they can go to and like hang out, or that's where the team meals are served or whatever. But I don't care if you just can't be outside this hotel after 9 p.m. If you want to be up, you can do whatever you want after 9. Just be here. Don't be anywhere else. Probably it. Is it Ivan? Ivan Garcia or Ivan? Hopefully by saying it both ways, I got it right one way. Who's better, Ramon or Pache in defense? Ramon Laureano, tried, true, tested, like he's an outstanding major league defender. Christian Pache, also really good. The answer might be Pache might be ahead of where Laureano was at Laureano's stage in his career, but as of right now, Laureano more polished, the arm, all that stuff. Like, not to take away from Christian Pache, but also want to make this point too. Since Pache was sent to AAA, we have not heard a lot about him or success or updates, and that is, just a bit concerning. Usually you go to AAA to get your groove back, to dominate, and then come on back. We really haven't heard that, and in the meantime, we've seen the A's try other outfield options. Now, let's not push Pache aside. That's ridiculous too. He's a young man. He's got plenty of career, and maybe the A's, by having him play pretty much the first half of this season and not have to send him back, no worries about that. Maybe he got a little bit roasted off that. Maybe it's time to, regather and all that stuff. So Pache will be very, very good. At this point, Laureano is many paces ahead of him in all regards, but it's not to say that Pache won't get there. I think that's probably the fairest assessment. All right. When I was a young kid, I used to have a San Jose Sharks jacket. Oh, that's pretty cool. Me too, actually. In fact, I think I still might have it in a box in my attic. Who should the Sharks retire after Marlowe? Oscar, that's a great one. Drew Armenda and I talked about that the other day here on a live stream, and we're pretty certain that it just has to be Joe Thornton. Joe would not probably want to go up first in all this, but Joe also deserves it. The real question is, after Patty in February, right? And then after Joe, which I would estimate, I don't know this, and he's yet to officially retire. And by the way, if you're expecting a retirement announcement from Joe Thornton, I do not see that ever coming, even when he knows it, and even when it's widely known. I don't think he's ever going to put out a statement or do a press conference. I don't see it happening, because that's such a hard thing to go through personally. Patrick Marleau did it, but I just don't think that that's in Joe's DNA. To want to go through that, to choose to go through that. It's a hard thing to get up there in front of everybody and say, I'm done. Even if you know it is, to have that admission it's not something that any professional athlete looks forward to necessarily. And some of them, they dread it. I guess some might be happy. They had a good career, or they've done well and they know it's time, or they want to spend time with their family. Fine, I get it. There are reasons to be happy about being done. But I would say a lot of them, including Joe Thornton, probably not thrilled that he has to say this. So I would not really ever expect a formal ceremony. Maybe I could be wrong. I really could be. But I do know one thing. It's not something that they enjoy as much as, fans enjoy it. Let's celebrate Patrick Marleau. Let's talk about his career. Let's hear his responses, all that stuff. It's kind of for the fans. A retirement announcement is not really for the player, if you think about it. And especially somebody like Joe Thornton. But to answering the question here, the real question for the Sharks is, after Patty, after Joe, do you retire anymore? Who is it? In what order? I'm not here to say there's definite rights or wrongs, or I don't even have a recommendation. I'm just curious. I hope that they do continue to keep the wheel moving on this to those who deserve it, right? You got to have a bar. I don't know where that bar is set. I mean, with Mr. Shark, it doesn't get much more, flawless than that. And then Jumbo right after. But where do you go next? And when do you do it? And I think Joe Thornton's probably, for me, if you're going to do Patty this year, it only makes sense to just wait until next year to do Joe Thornton. I mean, he was playing as of last season. So. Real talk. Who has the best beard? Dallas Braden, Joe Thornton, or Brent Burns? You know what, Joseph? You obviously know me very well. You know the A's and Sharks very well. You know this channel very well. So you probably are not going to be surprised that I'm here to ask you a question. Why'd you leave Curtis Brown off that list? Wait a second. Why did you leave Curtis Brown off that list? It was good, right? All right, let's try and answer this. Dallas, I feel like Dallas is hides everything, and when he's wearing a tie, his really comes out. Dallas projects. Dallas's beard is tight, it's bushy and tight. So it's I don't want to say it's well kempt. Is that the word? Well kempt? Well kept? Kempt? Yeah, it's groomed, but it's thick. Joe Thornton is more of just the gray racing stripe. Like he used to say, it's like a Mustang, a Ford Mustang. The racing stripe down the middle of gray. Very impressive. Jumbo also has the cheek hairs. So what I do, by the way, I trim from here up. I take a hard razor and trim there. And obviously, I didn't do it today, but trim the neck. The neck and then the cheeks from here on up. But Jumbo has thick beard all up on the cheek. So that's what sticks out to me with Jumbo. And Burnsy is just unkempt. Oh, well kempt, unkempt. What am I trying to say here? Burnsy's stuff is just all over the place. I feel like there's something in there. It's scraggly. You could I feel like he's been twisting it all day. Like I used to do with my long hair. So if you're asking who's the best beard, they all have different qualities. I'm going to say that Joe Thornton's might be the most distinguished. Yeah, for the boys. Yeah, man. No disrespect to anybody else's, but probably my answer. And Joseph, that was a world class question right there. It really was. What else do I have? Oh. Really good question. Really good question. All right, let's move on here. Whoa, I just skipped a ton of questions, and I did not mean to do that. Casey wondering which A's players in the minors or majors right now do you see being part of the next great teams? Langoliers, Muncy, Soderstrom, Clark, Denzel Clark, by the way. Shooty Babbitt told me probably more than a month ago. I mean, this was before he was in the futures game, all that stuff. You got to keep an eye on him. He reminds me of Jermaine Dye. That's the comp, right? Comps are weird when scouts talk about that because then instantly I'm thinking about and then I watch Denzel Clark and I'm like, I'm trying to superimpose that over him and almost every player has a comp, and that's a great way to start a conversation with a scout. So you want to know more about Shea Langoliers? Who's his comp? And it's an interesting thing. It really is. It's hard. It's really hard to predict names and timelines and who pans out and when they'll get an opportunity and when they'll stick. I think what we just saw with the A's in the second half of 2017, now, 5 years ago, but when Chapman and Olsen came up, they came up and they were never going back. But there are a lot of others who need time. They need to go up, then they need to come down. Nick Allen's been up and down a couple times, and as of right now, probably not going back. Jonah Bride's up. How does this go for him? Christian Pache was up for half the season and then gone and nowhere to be seen necessarily right now with the Oakland A's. It's really difficult to predict their progress, their trajectory, their projection. I mean, what you hope for But I also think, the real question when you say being part of the next great teams, how far away are we from that? It's 2022. I feel like we've kind of hit the bottom of this of the boat has the bottom of the boat has hit the rocks a little bit. We've hit the shore in a sense that, I mean, what other, with Frankie's departure after that trade, the flip that the A's have been doing, how much more is there to this flip? I get it. Ramon's out there. Sean Murphy's out there. Maybe some teams like a Seth Brown. I think Tony Kemp would, provide great opportunity or great, experience somewhere. But my point is, the current flip, is it trying to get a team for the A's built by 25? Because you're shaving down and then you're acquiring, but then to shave down, like, that's almost complete, basically is what I'm saying. The acquisition of talent, I mean, a lot of the prospects that the A's were getting back, AA, a couple AAA, JP Sears, by the way, in that Yankees deal with Montas, I mean, that already is encouraging. And that's just Sears. How about Cal Stevenson? How about the other two players that were acquired? So really, really difficult to pick a year or even to pick the right names at this point. But I do know one thing. You need a lot of names and you need a handful of years, because if you want it right now, you're not going to get it. And if you want to force it and rush it, you're not going to get it. And some of these players are just not going to pan out, or they're not going to sustain the high level of success that's going to make them a great player and make a great team at the major league level. It's just not, they don't all work out like that. That's why the two Matts and company were so special. It did work out that way. And Chris Bassett eventually worked out, and Frankie Montas worked out, and Lou Trevino was spectacular in those early years. It takes a lot of things going right, going well to win 97 games. So I don't know how long or what names. So it's a great question. It's something fun to watch. Alden, yeah, Nikolai Knyzhov tore the Achilles tendon in training, and he's already had the surgery a couple days ago. I feel terrible for him too. And, the Sharks were planning on his return, minus Brent Burns. You felt like, all right, we've got a stable enough blue line that, you're losing a 30-minute guy a night in Brent Burns, guy that plays a ton every single game for you. So you need every last resource you could get as a team on the blue line, and to not have Knyzhov, frustrating. Definitely frustrating. Injuries are part of it, but an Achilles and the time frame and the 6 months on that, I mean, you're looking at best case scenario, past Christmas probably. They say 4 months, but that Achilles is a tough one. Caker Girl missing hockey so much, especially the Sharks. Can't wait for the season to start back up. I feel the same way too, and I was thinking the other day, what should I do for coverage this year? I really liked doing night shift last year. Not opposed to that at all, but I'm wondering, is that the best thing I can do? Can I do something better that more people would like? Is there an idea floating around out there? I certainly like the whole idea. I would do the post-game show, run upstairs to the conference room, hit go, and do a stream. Maybe it needs to be more of a group show. I don't know. I'm open to ideas. The one thing I do know is that it has to be, when I say low maintenance, I just want it to work every time, and I want to be able to replicate it a lot. And if it involves other people, they just have to be committed. Or maybe I just bring on a guest once in a while. Maybe Curtis joins me on certain occasions. We'll see. Let's see here. Felix, what's up, man? How are you, buddy? You probably sent that a long time ago, and I'm just getting to it. Just don't ask Heater to throw some heat from the pitching mound. Wow, that's how long ago that comment was. We're still in the Danny Heatley conversation. White Claw. Can I talk a little bit about the Sharks' goaltender situation and who do I think might be their best bet in net to get them back to the playoffs. How about that, Blaine, by the way? The way you phrase that might be their best bet in net to get them back to the playoffs. All right, it's a great question, though, and the answer is I don't see how they can go into the season with three, Reimer, Hill, and Kakinen. I don't see how you do that. Either logistically, like, because there's just not enough games and starts, or financially, right? Like the cap does not really lend itself to that. So I think they have to make a tough decision here. And I think in the same way that Brent Burns was the most desired commodity, right? Like to trade somebody, which is what they would do here, you have to have something that somebody else really wants to get their hands on, and they'll give you something back. And it's not to say that Adin Hill or Kaapo Kähkönen are not worthy of that. It's not it at all. The Sharks traded for Adin Hill last year. Like, they went out and they saw something, and they still could be very right. But Hill was hurt for a bunch last year. Kaapo got, 10 starts at the very end. Hard to judge, But the question is, if Reimer's really the most valuable and you're willing to part ways with him, now you're in a situation where Reimer was your known commodity, veteran experience, not to mention best performer last year, healthiest last year over the long stretch. So the frustrating thing about the Sharks last year is they never really got to have the goalie 1-2 punch that they designed. Adin Hill, James Reimer, 1-2. They couldn't go 1-2, 1-2, 2, 1-2, 2-2, 2-1. No, they couldn't do that. Reimer missed a bunch with injury and illness. Hill missed a bunch with injury and illness. And they kept going like back and forth where Reimer had to start, 7 times in a row. Hill had to start 8 times in a row. I'm just saying that if you go the route of trade the most valuable commodity in Reimer, then you're left in a position where you just have to trust that both your current guys and or somebody else can help you get through the season the right way, right? That can set you up for success. It's just a really good, it's a good situation to have 3 and to have this choice, but it's also a tough position because you got to make the choice right, It's better than having one who's questionable. You've got 3 who you like, and you've got more beyond that in the organization. But you've got 3 that are capable, that are qualified, that you like. You just have to really make sure you make the right decision here. Tell us your May 9th, 2010 story of Dallas Braden's perfect game. What was my experience of it? Oh, boy. Oh, this is rough. So it was Mother's Day, and the Sharks were in the middle of their playoffs. I think literally in the middle of their playoffs. It was the end of round 2, the night before. So May 8th, I would have to look this up. May 8th, 2010, I believe the Sharks eliminated the Red Wings, and then they advanced to the conference final. Right, that's right. And then they went on to play Vancouver. So the deal was May 9th, I was either going to have it off and go have brunch with my mom, which we did, or if the Sharks had lost the night before, I was going to have to book a flight to Detroit and fly out to Detroit for a game on May 10th, 2010, which never happened, right? So I had the day off A's because I was still doing Sharks, and got home from brunch, was dead tired, had worked all the night before, up super late, whatever, middle of the playoffs, right? I fell asleep. And I knew Dallas at that point had a no-hitter, and I didn't really realize that he had a perfect game. Or maybe, and it was early. It's the 4th inning, maybe the 5th. I pass out. I know, I know what I'm risking not watching. I wake up to Glenn's call. And Dallas Braden has thrown a perfect game. What? I slept through that? I'll never forget. It was in my old apartment. I can remember the leather couch. I can remember the TV that I still have, by the way. It's mounted in my office in the other room. It's it's pretty crazy that I slept through Dallas Braden's perfect game. And I told him that too. I did not take pride in that. I literally was watching you do it and I fell asleep. And then I woke up and it was all over. I still feel bad about this or that to this day. Hey, you know what? Broden, I really appreciate you being here on the Super Chat. By the way, everything that comes out of the Super Chat goes right here to this channel, to improving it, to making it bigger, better, doing more with it, trying to bring you more. So just so you all know, that is the point of the Super Chat. But Broden, I appreciate you being here, and I always try and prioritize these comments when I see them and I get them. Who do I think from the Sharks will have a breakout year? It's a good question. You know what? I actually want to put in some work on this because I could just throw out a meaningless answer, give you something off the top of my head. But I have not actually pondered this. I think there are some potentials. Now, when you say breakout, I mean, is that a player who you previously didn't know much about or didn't expect much from? Or is breakout like if Mario Ferraro scores 20 goals this year because he said to me the other day, I want to pump in a little bit more offense. You know, so what is defined as the breakout? We'll look at the Sharks roster here. Maybe Barabanov. You know, I mean, what would Hurdle or Couture have to do to have a breakout season, right? Like, I mean, would Meyer have to hit 40 goals? Like, what is it that defines a breakout season? For Kunin, Lindblom, Sturm, Lorentz, all the new players, you know, it's hard to say breakout season. You don't even know what to expect. Looking at the other names here, maybe Noah Gregor. You know, all the chances if he buried even half of them this year that he had last year, that's a breakout season. You know, on defense, what if, you know, Carlson and Vlasic have been lightning rods and have been talked about a lot? What if they came out and each one of them had stellar seasons? Now, breakout, like that's not a breakout because they're on that level, right? But is that a breakout season? I go back to Mario Ferraro. Same thing with Radim Šimek. You know he's a good player. I think he's been hurt. I think he's been hindered. Nudavara, Benning, Drew, by the way, was telling me the other day that we will really like Matt Benning. And I'll tell you another one right here. Don't sleep on Ryan Merkley. That's another potential candidate for a breakout season, in my opinion, right there. Boy, there's Knyzhov right there, too. That is so frustrating. And then there's all the non-roster players as of right now. Thomas Bordeleau. Potential breakout season. I would hope for William Eklund. Potential breakout season. He's going to be 20 this year. I heard this, by the way. I didn't see this, but I heard that he is a little bit beefier, bulkier, put on some weight. That's great. Usually when I say that, it's like, where? Around the belly? No. Like, you know, he's beefed up. He's thickening out, which is great. And there's a ton of other names here. Coe, Weatherby, Weisblatt. You know, it could go on and on, but I think it's hard. It's harder with these players. These would be hard, really hard for me to speculate on. So hit or miss. So that's just kind of a look at it. You know, to be honest, it's hard to answer that question specifically or accurately, but hopefully some of that made sense. How about this? Let's go right back to it. Juju in the Super Chat. Juju, I really appreciate you for being here in this way. And thank you for saying you love the content. I love doing it. Who do you think make the 4 and 5 spots in the A's rotation when we get to spring training 2023? Fun to think about. JP Sears. Now, I'm not saying 4 or 5, like I'm not slotting him in, but if you're saying who would be a newcomer to that, and let's also realize that there could be some acquisitions along the way. You still don't even know what the A's are done doing as it goes with trades, but let me pull up this one for you here. I'm really interested in the way that, first off, he pitched against the A's when we saw him earlier this season, but also when he had his debut the other day. A lot of people really liked what they saw from JP Sears. So let's do the quick bio here on him. He's 26. I wonder how many more. I wonder what his contract is. Like how many more years of control. Like where he's at in that. This is probably just kicked in. Yeah, here in 2022, in terms of major league experience. So the clock started on him for all the arbitration years, right? But let's look at him here. 2015, he's in college. The Citadel. How about that? Played for the Citadel Bulldogs. And he's in Single A in 2017. So he's been primed in the minor leagues for quite some time. He didn't have a quick, right through. Now, I guess 2020 was not a season for anybody in the minor leagues. But he was down in A-ball in 2019, high A. And then it looks like he jumped in 2021 to Triple A. He went from high A to double. Oh, I see. Double A for 8 starts. Triple A for 10 more starts. And then here's his 2022. He was in Scranton, where they shot The Office, by the way. See, now I get that. A 1.67 ERA in Triple A. Look at that. 43 innings pitched. See if I can scroll over here. 55 strikeouts in 43 innings pitched. And then, obviously, with Las Vegas, that's after the trade to Oakland. But then here's the call-up, obviously, with the A's. In just the one start the other day. 5 1/3, 2 runs, 3 hits. So this is one for me just to keep an eye on. Again, this is somebody who, and of all the other names that have pitched for the A's, and I'm not even here to mention them as in a way of like, well, they probably won't be in the rotation. But the A's have tried. I think the A's are up to 11 total starting pitchers this year. Minus Frankie's not around. Cole Irvin, obvious. Blackburn, obvious. Caprillion, obvious. So there's 4 that I've just mentioned. But that leaves like 6 or so others. Of all the others, who has really said, I'm shooing myself in for next year in that rotation? I don't know that many have done that yet, to be perfectly honest. I've liked Adrian Martinez. I think there's some flashes there, things I really like. But JP Sears is another. So you're right, Juju. It is a good question. We're a ways away from that, but I just wanted to mention JP Sears right there. And I appreciate you being here again in the Super Chat, seriously. All right, let's see what we got here. LaCroix Lime is criminally underrated. Oh, really? White Claw is a softer version of Zima. Oh, it's even softer. I never had a Zima back in the day. Well, obviously, it was like Zimas came out, I think, was it like a late 80s, early 90s thing when it was super popular? I was like 8 or 9. I had a passion fruit, orange, guava, frozen yogurt today. It was the best froyo of my life. Makar, thank you for sharing. Do you think the A's will ever be like the Dodgers ownership? You mean and just spend? Here, take it. You know what's crazy to me is, and I'm not justifying everything the A's do because I get it. Like some of the things are frustrating. You have a perfect team and then you just say, whoosh, we're gonna, turn it on its side. But I mean, if you do the math on how much a win every season is worth and how much some teams spend to get every win versus how much other teams don't spend to get the same amount of wins or more wins, I would just rather always, I mean, yes, you'd like to spend, you'd like to commit, you'd like to lock in the teams that you like, but you can spend really stupid in baseball. You can easily do that. You can put together a bad team. You can put together a team full of bad individuals that are good players but not a good team. You can do it all. So I know, Demon Child, by the way, your avatar is scaring the hell out of me. When that's addressed, like, all I'm saying is there's a combination of both. Sure, as an A's person, I wish they could spend like the Dodgers, heck, the Angels, the Padres, the Mets. I wish they could do that. But a lot of those teams look at the A's and are like, I wish we could find talent like they do. So it's a balance. That's what I'm trying to say. Bartles and James has entered the chat. JZ34, when am I ever going to interview Niger Morgan about his hockey and baseball career? First black player from the States to play in the dub. So, I think it's on my channel here. Niger came out to San Jose, and I think this was he still with the Brewers at that point? He came out to San Jose during a baseball off season, right? Middle of the hockey season. It was like a November or a December. And he practiced with the Sharks. A little rusty on, like I was going to say around the edges, but on the edges maybe is more appropriate. But you could tell that he knew what he was doing, and he was firing off slappers. And he was they had him do a shootout, I think. I forget who was the goalie back then for the Sharks. Was it Niemi? It was probably about those years. Or maybe he went up against Niittymaki. I don't remember. But I don't know about catching up. I don't know what he's doing. But we did that, and I think that's here on my channel. So honestly, if you want to search it, try and find that video. He was a lot of fun. Like he was so amped to be there that day. He was genuinely excited. So it's cool to see a pro ball player get excited about meeting other professional athletes. I need a slideshow. I need slideshow for the White Claw discourse. That's a good one. Favorite NFL team? I just don't. I don't have one. I guess it's probably the 49ers. I mean, when I grew up, they were the only team in the Bay Area. I'm an East Bay guy, but the Raiders were not in my formative years. And then they left a bunch of times. So do they really deserve that? No. Yeah, I've never latched on to an NFL team. I really haven't. And I know that is probably super rare. Probably a lot of people like, what? You're a sports guy. What? I know. Speaking of flying, how often do commercial planes abort landings? You saw an Air France Dreamliner do a go, well, I'm just going to call it a go-around the other day as it was passing the San Mateo Bridge. How often? Regularly, but when I say that, maybe a couple times a week, like at San Francisco, for example, in total. Optimally, you don't have any go-arounds. You know why? Because a go-around costs the airline like $20,000 in gas. Seriously, especially on like a 787 or 777 or, a heavy aircraft. It's a lot of gas. There's a lot of paperwork. Seriously, there's all this stuff. It's not just as simple as, well, back the car around. Well, no. Like, it's a procedure. So they try and avoid it, but the reasons they do it are usually something on the runway. Sometimes air traffic control sequences the planes a little bit too close, and either ATC or the pilots say, you know what, we just need to go around. And if they were going around as early as the San Mateo Bridge, that's still a couple miles out from the runway, like either 28 right or 28 left. That's a relatively far distance to be doing a go-around. It's not too far. I'm just saying it's not like they were short final and saw something and decided to abort. So the answer is it's not uncommon at all. I know it scares the bejesus out of people It's not, especially if you're on that plane, it's not abnormal. It's very safe, happens, more than you'd know, more than you'd understand. Very safe, very procedural. So it does happen. And it happens for a good reason, right? Like, why would you want to force this? If somebody said, you know what, this isn't feeling right, I'll try it again. Make sure we nail this. Don't you want them to nail it for you? Yeah, you do. So I know what you're asking, though. It's a good question. All right. MM Forever, thank you for being here in the Super Chat. Again, I really can't say thank you enough. I'll do it every time, but when you all help support the channel like this, it only helps this product, and I'm always trying to add some new bells and whistles. And so yeah, that's what this is all about here. If there's no binding vote before January 2023, are the A's good as gone? Also, any chance I ever cover the 49ers at some point as part of my podcast? Well, let's address the first part first. I don't think it's like I know what the A's are up against in their timeline, and I'm not here to say that it's a great thing that if a binding vote, if a binding vote doesn't happen by then, that's not good. That's not good. I don't know that it makes it entirely impossible to the point that we should lose all hope. See, and I think that's what your question is. Like, is it a death sentence for Howard Terminal if it doesn't happen before there's a new mayor, there's a couple new council members? I don't think it's a death sentence, but man, it's not good. You don't know what how the new mayor is really going to back this, and we'll find out. Honestly, it's one of my goals to start interviewing the main candidates for mayor for the city of Oakland and ask them straight up, what's your stance on this? How will you approach this? If it's resolved by then, if it's not resolved by then, how are you going to see this? And that might influence some people's vote on their run for mayor. So hopefully that answers the first part. If there's no binding vote, it's not a done deal that they're gone, but it's not good. You don't want to let that deck flip. Also, any chance I cover the 49ers? It's a dilemma of mine here with social and especially here on YouTube. You know what? If I made 5 Trey Lance videos like tonight, they'd all get a bunch of views and they would help the channel but that's not what I do. That's not what I've kind of set out to do. I'm not going to say it's not my passion. It's sports. It's interesting conversation, but so many other people are doing it. A lot of people do it and do it well. Yeah, no doubt. A lot of people just do it and then put it out there in hopes for clicks and views. And I can't subscribe to that. Not like literally, like figuratively. I can't. It's not for me. I've tried to make this YouTube channel about things that I'm passionate about, right? The 2 teams I cover. But also they happen to be teams that are, slightly less of a focal point in our region by many entities. So I'm trying to just support it a little bit. That's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm not saying, like, what I'm really saying is there's enough people out there covering the 49ers. You don't need me to do that. That's the honesty. And I just think it would come across as a little bit disingenuous in that I spend all of my time on a baseball team and a hockey team, and if I just started, spouting off about football, do people really want that from me? I don't know. I know it would go over well, and I know it would get the clicks. I just don't know how I'd feel about it. But MM, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the Super Chat. All right. I will do a couple more, and then, my goodness, it's almost 11 o'clock, and I think that's my it's my soft out time. Trevor, appreciate the consistent content. You and Casey Pratt. Trevor, why are you naming Casey on here? Why are we giving that guy any? Just kidding. We both, I'll speak for him too. good friend of mine. We both appreciate that you're here consuming it and that you're passionate about it, likely, and that you're paying attention to. And actually, you know what? We were texting the other day. We are overdue for a live chat. I actually want to do it on his channel. He's growing his YouTube channel. And so we've been talking about how I could, instead of me hosting it on this channel, how I could be a guest on his. Maybe we could share some clips, whatever. But at the very least, we should reconnect soon and share what we know. Al wondering, when do I think it'll be officially announced whether the A's stay in Oakland or move to Las Vegas? Well, if they, if Howard Terminal works out, I don't know that the press conference is going to be we're staying. It's going to be Howard Terminal is happening, and then you'll know that they're staying. The Las Vegas side of it, I think it really comes down to what happens by the end of this calendar year. And then even then, there's a little bit of a buffered zone time of like, do we have everything squared away or not, or what's going to happen here? But, I mean, I think you're really, 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 really going to know what's happening by the end of this calendar year. I used to say by the end of this baseball season, which is like October 5th or something, but now I'm just going to revise that. Now that we're here in August, I'm going to say by the end of this calendar year, you'll definitely know. What's the most difficult part about being a dad? Oh my goodness. Thank you for the question. Where do I even begin? I think it really boils down to, for me at least, responsibility, priorities. If you are a person who is, single at a point, and then maybe you have, your relationship at a point, and then maybe it turns into a marriage, and then all those things, like at some point you're starting to realize that you have more responsibilities, like, or all of a sudden you have a house or you have a dog. Something's making noise in here. Sorry, no, maybe that was that. You have all these responsibilities, but nothing is like the all of a sudden nature of, so here's the child, it's yours, and it's a shared responsibility. My wife does a tremendous job. Like, it's a 24/7 job. Newborns especially, they wake up at all hours. They need to be fed at all hours. It's a hard puzzle to figure out at first. And then you adapt to it. And you figure out how to solve the puzzle. But then the puzzle changes, and you have to figure out the new puzzle again. It's responsibility. It's an ever-changing responsibility. I'm not here to say that it gets harder or easier over time. Maybe some people have a different experience. It just changes over time. The responsibility never just like goes away. It's here with you for the rest of your life. It's a responsibility. And look, I'm going off here on the most difficult part. Sorry. There's so many great parts too. Things that my child will say, the way he does things, and just observing. Interactions. There's so many special things. There really are. But if you're trying to isolate just the difficult part, it's a responsibility that you can't ever prepare for, and it doesn't just gradually ramp up, over like 3 days or 3 months or a year. It's like birthday, hello, here you go. You're off and running whether you know how to run or not. So that's probably the answer to that. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I see. Was there? Here's Tyson. Not really a question, but your channel has been a great resource for A's and Sharks news for a non-Californian. You inspired me to make a trip to the Coliseum and fell in love with it. Oh, cheers from Arizona. Tyson, that's very cool. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm glad that you found this channel. And hopefully I can just provide, the best experience as possible. That's really nice of you to say that. And yeah, Coliseum's a different bird, isn't it? It's one of a kind, actually. At this point, there used to be a bunch of circular, multi-purpose baseball stadiums across baseball: Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. I could go on and on. Even Angel Stadium, was the Rams and Angels for many years. The Kingdome, the Metrodome. Look at this. Joe Robbie Stadium, all these baseball and football venues, and then, now we're down to one. And really none, because they don't play football there anymore, but it's shaped like a football stadium. So, Juju back on the super chat. Appreciate that again. Does most of the worry go away if CC approves Howard Terminal? City Council, I think is what you're saying. Oakland City Council, if they approve Howard Terminal, yes. If a binding vote happens for Howard Terminal with the city of Oakland, you're right, most of the concern about whether it'll happen goes away. It's not to say that that's the only thing. There are some lawsuits. There are some other very important approvals that are necessary. One, in fact, by the BCDC. They have to kind of approve the project. They have to permit the actual project. They've already approved that the land can be used for something other than seaport operations. Then they'd have to go back and approve the project. So, to answer your question, yes, most of the worry goes away if the city council takes a binding vote. I also think Alameda County is right there with another binding vote if the city does it first. But, yeah, it's not the only thing that's still remaining, unfortunately. I still hear... Maybe I'm hearing the music from the... That's what I think I'm hearing. That's so bizarre. I apologize for being so, disoriented, just disjointed right there. It's the music from my little... this thing, right? It's the little... This video that I have here. I guess the fader wasn't all the way down or whatever. I could still hear that in my headphones. It was really weird. Sorry. Yeah, it's not, maybe I'm not hearing things. Maybe it's too many White Claws. No, that was a long time ago. I think those have worn off. Eddie, if you don't love the Coliseum, you don't deserve to call yourself an A's fan. Well, okay, I don't disagree with what you're saying there. Let me add on to what you're saying. What I don't like is when people who are not A's fans, didn't grow up there, whatever, they parachute in and then they talk trash about the Coliseum just because they heard some A's fans doing it. No, if you're an A's fan, that's your home. That's where you've been going for decades. It's likely that may be where you even learn baseball or you propose to your significant other there, whatever. My point is that the Coliseum has some deep memories for a lot of people. They are allowed to criticize the Coliseum as much as they want. But if you're coming in from out of town, and I don't mean if you're coming in to bash the A's because of the Coliseum and you're not from there, that's like talking bad about somebody's actual house. You wouldn't be invited to a party and be like, yo, this place sucks. You wouldn't do that. So don't do it here. Alden made it through the grocery shopping. I used to do that too back in the day. I used to hit up Safeway. It's probably 2000. Well, first off, when I was in college, always go to Safeway. The Safeway on is it Race Street? Race Avenue? Is it Race Street or Avenue? Ooh, in San Jose. That's gonna bother me now unless I go look it up. Sorry. I think it's Race Street. Hang on a sec. Race Street. Yeah. That's it. Yep, there it is. Look at that. There's a stinking picture of the place. Where is it here? How do I do that? Yep. That's Safeway right there. I used to walk in that joint all the time. Probably just a different picture of it. Well, there's the inside. Yeah, when I was in college. But then even after that, kind of being a night owl, just the nights I don't work or I didn't work back in the day, I would always go grocery shopping at night. So I hear you. It's nice. Nobody's around now in like pandemic era. I would definitely pick the night versus the middle of the day, or, back when you're really trying to avoid being around people. Thoughts on Kotze this year? I think he's done a really good job. I think it's a hard job. I think it, dramatically changed from the day he said yes to the roster that he had and some of the ups and downs and departures and holding a group together and going from, what is that noise? Sorry. Yeah, that went away. See, I was doing it again. You guys are all like, what's he talking about? It's been a really hard year for Mark Kotze, I think. As you would imagine, transitioning roles, trying to, get young players ready for the next step at the same time as you're managing an Elvis Andrus or a Sean Murphy who's been there, done that, or a Laureano or a Piscotti. Like you've got all these different groups of people and, a team and players going in multiple different directions. To hold all of that together has been impressive. And I also want to say this too. Mark Kotze is somebody who had, before this season, never even managed a high school baseball team. He'd never managed at any level of baseball before this season. So, all things considered, he'll be very good at this. If he's not already, he will be very good at this, in a couple years, and really gets it under his belt. And I think he took on a very tough role. I think he's one of a handful of people that I would have even wanted to do this job. He gets the organization. He knows where, he knows where he stands. He knows he's got support. I think he's going to be around for a long time. And I'm really hoping that he is the person that gets to usher in the next group of success. And it might take a few years. Yeah, it might take a handful of years, but that's fine. I know he's a committed person. I know he understands where things are at. And, I just think if he's going to have a year to learn on the job, might as well be this one because the team and the way things are going, imagine if the A's were expected to be a playoff team and this is his first year. Now the pressure's on him and every move he makes. This is kind of a soft landing into being a big league skipper or a manager of any level. And he's doing just fine with it. And I think he'll be great, even greater as time goes on. Just post one of my earlier comments here again. Did I miss it from before? Yeah, I skipped a bunch, Felix. Thoughts on experimenting with bouncing between YouTube and Twitch? I do have the equipment. That is true. The way I'm set up, YouTube's easier. Doing one platform at a time is easier. I know what maybe you're saying do one stream here, one stream there. I've seen people live stream on multiple platforms at the same time. I'm just really trying to grow YouTube, to be honest with you. And maybe I should though, maybe I should diversify and do a little Twitch. I don't watch enough Twitch on my own, so that, I do watch a lot of YouTube on my own. So that encourages me to probably want to be here more. That's probably the reason. So my thoughts are I consider it. I just really need the motivation to do it. Like here's a really good reason why you should do it. If I could find that, I think I'd probably do it. Alden won a Sharks promo at that Safeway. $500 gift card and seats behind the bench. That's a good shopping trip, gotta say. Just walked out of his Safeway. Look at that. What are my memories of the 89 earthquake? Oh, man. Kevin, seeing as I said I was going to sign off 11 minutes ago and I didn't. I should have already done this. I've got a lot of memories. It was a very personal day too, which I'll explain at some point. A lot. I was only 8 years old, but I remember a lot. I'll just say this. There are a few days of my life so far that I base everything else around. Like, did it happen before or after that? One of them is the 89 earthquake. Another one is 9/11. And another one's, becoming a dad. So those are all very different levels of good and bad. Yeah. But it's one of those milestone type days for me. So I'll do a whole video on that, Kevin. I'm sorry I didn't really answer that, but I could do this answer for like 30 minutes alone. So I have a lot of memories of that day. Have I ever had the chance to talk with Monty Moore? Man is awesome. You know what, Ryan? He sent me an email a couple years ago, and I don't want to share it. I mean, I could probably pull it up here for you, but I do want to share it because it was so well worded and just kind things. And I don't know him. I guess he watches our shows, which is awesome in itself. And he chose to write something really nice. In fact, it's kind of sad. Ray Fosse called me and said, "What's your email?" Why do you want to know? Ray doesn't email anybody. Why do you want to know? Monty Moore wants to send you something. I was like, okay, great. So he did. And it was tremendous. It was honestly something I'd want to frame. It was like coming from him and what he said. It was just really nice. So I never really had the chance to interact. I responded to that, obviously, but I never had the chance to really get to know him or talk to him. But I remember his calls, and it's great to see him still doing well. 93 or 4, I think, and he was in the broadcast booth the other day. So Twitch doesn't compensate well. Ha! Then it's done. No, I don't know. I mean, there would have to be some reward level of it, right? Now, the reward could be, if it's paying for the time, right? So that, like, again, this is all a project. But if the reward was a lot of people would see it too, maybe that's a good trade-off. Well, first off, Kevin says, you'll ask about the earthquake. Yeah, please do. Please do. Maybe not at 11:14 p.m. All right, last one here. How often do you look at your Wikipedia article? Never? Is there something I need to know? Okay. Now I'm worried. Let's see what we got here. Wikipedia. All right, we're going to bring this up. We are really going to do this. Brody, Brazil. Oh, American television broadcaster. That's pretty prestigious. Brody Matthew, Brazil. That's correct. American television broadcaster who has won 13 regional Emmy Awards and nominated for 32. 32. I made a video about this, by the way, too. Those are great, but there's more important things out there. But they are great, but again, there's other things too. Got to start broadcasting for KICU, NBC Sports Bay Area, Sharks telecast, his own podcast. Who doesn't have one these days? Sportsnet Central, remember that show? Sharks Insider for 95.7 The Game. Might want to update that one. Appeared on Sharks Late Night Confidential. Covered the Giants, apparently, and the 49ers. I mean, barely. Golden State Warriors, Raiders, Earthquakes, Cal, Stanford, San Jose State, NASCAR, and a variety of local sports stories. Brody is also an aviation expert. I mean, I'll take it. You could just say pilot or flight instructor. I'll take it. All right, it's pretty much that's all right. That's the thick of it. All right. So honestly, I think I've seen it before, right? Like, in fact, years ago, I was doing a radio show. Somebody called in and asked that question, and I said, "Okay, for the rest of the 2 hours we're on today, I challenge you to go on there." Change it, because I know you can. I don't know how to do it, but I know people do. Change it to whatever you want. Make it spicy. So I read what it was at that moment, and then by the end of the show, I read it again, and it was totally different. It was way more interesting than what I just read right there. So, yeah, the answer is I don't look at it at all. I mean, unless somebody were to point it out to me, like, you should check that out. But if there was something there that I thought needed attention or fixing, I wouldn't know how to do it, to be honest with you. So don't don't mess with it now. Be fair if you know how to do it. But yeah. I wonder when was the last time that author updated your wiki? I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of current, right? I don't know. No, because there's not it does seem actually kind of outdated. I don't really know. There's nothing that says like last year or any, whatever. Ghost Charm. What's going on, Ghost Charm? I remember you. It's good to see you back here. I mean, I just read it. I didn't even, I felt uncomfortable even reading it, to be honest with you. Oh, as a fellow regional Emmy Award winner, congrats. Yeah, Jeff, good job. No, they're great. I kind of like, I was into that stuff, and then I just got out of that, the awards stuff. So, all right. Oh, man, Jacob, you missed me. Can I call? You know what? If I were staying on here longer, I would. I'm probably on here about 20 minutes longer than I was going to. Ghost Charm, it's going well. Unfortunately, I think if you're just tuning in here, I just missed you because I'm about to bounce, to be quite honest with you. So, in fact, I've got my little outro video that's gonna play here. Where is it? There we go. See, now I can bring the music back. Now I can bring that back. So that's it. As you see down there on your screen, broadcast has concluded. It is bedtime. You're right, Felix. Yeah, my son, I'm watching him on the little monitor over there. He's been asleep for almost 4 hours now. I got to catch up. So look, thank you so much to everybody for being here, for supporting the channel. Go find another video that you like here on the channel. Watch it before you go. I do appreciate that. Thanks to everybody who's part of the super chat. It's important to the channel, so I want to say thank you. All right. Be safe, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. I will talk to you soon.